It went when they weren't promising to give America's wealth to the rest of the world. Democrats attacked each other as bigots. Senator Kamala Harris clearly thinks she can become president of the United States by calling other people racist. And she began with Joe Biden.
I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Oh, barf. So Kamala Harris is saying that if you oppose busing, which is an insane and destructive policy that most black people say they hate because it hurts them, if you oppose that, Kamala Harris is telling us, you're a racist. Over on MSNBC, the guiltiest anchor on television cringed with self-loathing watching this. What a good person you are, he said to Harris. You have every right to hate people like me for our skin color. Yes, you do.
And this is really important to people of all backgrounds and ethnicities. I don't like the word race, ethnicities.
Right.
How did you come out of that and not have hatred towards white people generally?
Oh, how destructive is this? This really is the modern Democratic Party. All race, all the time. Americans don't want that. There's no evidence they want that. Americans are not racially obsessed, unlike the buffoons you see running for office and hosting cable news shows. Americans care about jobs and security and fairness. The press, meanwhile, insists on pitting black against white, Kamala Harris versus Joe Biden. But the reality, real life, is far more complicated than that. For example, this is just one of many examples, Joe Biden's strongest constituency, black voters. Kamala Harris's base, meanwhile, young, well-educated white liberals, affluent white voters. In fact, many black voters appear skeptical of Kamala Harris. One of them recently tweeted that Harris's life story doesn't bear much resemblance to that of most African Americans. Her parents were from India and Jamaica. Donald Trump Jr. retweeted that observation. And for that, CNN denounced him as a terrifying racist.
Don Jr. is facing big backlash for retweeting a racist posting questioning Kamala Harris's race.
Donald Trump Jr. retweeted a post, which is a racist lie.
This is a constant recurring theme with the president. Inferential racism, implied racism. Oh, no, I'm not a racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body, but those muscles are awful bigoted.
The strategy that, frankly, Republicans have used since the beginning of time, which is divide and conquer on race.
It is a horrible form of black racism that has now been harnessed to be a voter suppression tool.
This is an attempt to divide the black community and attack a black candidate, not on policy reasons, but on xenophobia and racism.
Pure propaganda. Did you hear that idiotic CNN report? It's a racist lie. Well, it turns out that no less an authority than Don Lemon, also of CNN, said virtually exactly the same thing just a few months ago. Now, this tape has been floating around Washington, and Don Lemon apparently has been calling other anchors, even on other channels, and asking them not to replay it because he's embarrassed of it. But we think you have a right to see it, and you can decide for yourself if Don Lemon is also an anti-black racist. Watch.
The people who are saying, is she black enough? That's bull. That's BS. But to want a distinction to say, is she African American? Or is she black, or is she whatever? There is nothing wrong with that. All she had to do was say, I am black, but I'm not African American. That's it.
When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with other races. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was born
did not
here.
Come out of Jim Crow.
Okay, well, let's go
saying.
into Ted Cruz.
My gosh, this is all so tiresome, such a total distraction from things that actually matter, like jobs and life expectancy of Americans and the suicide rate, et cetera. There's a long list. But still, here's Don Lemon telling you that Kamala Harris is not an African American. He thinks it's important that you know that. And yet that's not racist because Don Lemon is a Democratic voter. That's the logic of identity politics. Democrats think they're going to get elected on that. They don't seem to understand that the rest of the country finds it boring and stupid and repugnant. Rob Smith is a contributor at Turning Point USA, and he joins us tonight. Rob, thanks a lot for coming on. So what do you make of this debate? I mean, it's obviously the ugly